Okay. What's up, Warriors? How are you all doing today? I am your host, The Lone Wolf, and today with me is your boy...
What's up, Adam Turner?
Adam Turner. This is the first ever episode of the Tell the World project where I sit down with another human being and we get deep. We talk about mental health and we talk about their experience, their personal experience with mental health in a bid to help others to relate so they too can open up and talk about their experiences with mental health. It is a mental health awareness campaign that I've been trying to put together for a long time now. So yeah, it's a long time coming. This is the first ever episode.
You've been doing good stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. And this is something that's been on my radar for a fucking long time.
We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, Tell the World project. I've been trying to put something together for a long time, and wow, here we are.
The time is now.
The time is now. We're here.
The time is now.
It's come out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, so I've got some questions, right? So what we're going to do is tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so obviously my name is Adam Turner. I'm 33 years old, which sounds like a bit of a dinosaur now. My daughter especially likes to say to me, "Dad, how do you know the lyrics to this song? You're too old." And
yeah.
you know, when you're talking about TikTok and stuff, your kids all of a sudden start embarrassing you and calling you old and stuff. So yeah, I'm hitting that peak.
You're an old man now.
I'm an old man now, yeah, but I'm an old man that's into music. Obviously, as you know, I've been doing music not in just this town, but all over the country since I was like 14.
Yeah, you've done the Slim Shady
impersonating. Yeah, I started off as an Eminem tribute, and I was lucky to get signed and tour the country for a long time when I was a kid, when I was still in school. And then I started doing my own stuff and kind of materialised it from there. So I love my music. I also collect horror memorabilia.
Yeah,
so,
horror fanatic,
yeah, I'm a big horror fan. I love my Michael Myers and my Jasons and stuff like that. So horror plays a kind of big part in my journey, and my daughter's 11 now, and she's starting to kind of want to watch the old.
She's getting into it.
Spooky stuff with me. Nothing graphic and
goosebumps,
gory and that.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, goosebumps. And you're afraid of the dark. Yeah. But cool, yeah, man. Yeah, that's me. That's me.
You. So you know, when I thought about it before doing this, I thought the best way to give people that view this an idea about, you know, who you are, where you come from and your battles is to start from the beginning. So tell us a little bit about, you know, childhood for you, what your upbringing was like as a child. Okay,
well, this is weird because my mum and dad were married for like 30 years. I had a brother, I've got a brother that's 10 years older than me. Before I come into this world and before my brother even come into this world, my parents had a life-changing car accident and they lost a little boy, and I think that was kind of, even before I was born, I think it changed my mum and dad.
Of course, man, yeah.
So, I mean, the little boy was only like 3 when they lost him, and obviously I can't imagine what they went through. My dad come out without kind of a scratch on him, but my mum, like the doctor said, her body and that was like a broken biscuit, so she had to be completely kind of rebuilt.
Wow.
So she had my brother first, and then sort of I come along, and I was a test tube baby, like an IVF baby.
IVF, yeah.
I was one of the first IVF babies like ever.
Wow.
In the world, like when that's kind of, it was like a new thing that was coming in. My mum and dad were trying for a kid for a long time. So then I come along, and my mum and dad seemed to be happily married. And then when I was about 4, they took over. There was a theme park in Hoffman Park, which is for anyone that doesn't know, there's a park in there. It's called Rainbow's End. And it was like a little theme park. I mean, I look back at it now and I see some of the sort of shit that's out today, and I think, well, you know, trampolines and climbing frames and stuff like that, it doesn't really match up to no kind of Thorpe Park level. But I kind of grew up, I went to Edward Bryant School, which is right next to it.
Yeah.
So every day of my life I was just in this amusement park. My dad used to give me like a bag full of pound coins, and I would just go, knowing that the money was coming straight back to him because he owned it.
Yeah.
There was just me bombing about. I used to spend time in the amusements, just going absolutely crazy. If anybody was there that I didn't like, I'd be like, yeah, well, my dad owns this place, and I used to get some people kicked out sometimes if they were.
This is my place.
Yeah, this is my place. This is my place.
Yeah.
And I kind of got on quite happily there, and my parents were happily married, and we were all kind of like a family unit. And then when I was about 7 years old, I remember my mum and dad started to argue a bit. Mm-hmm. I think when you're a little bit younger, you don't really notice.
Yeah.
They keep it away from you, and it was definitely kept away from me. And I started to realise them not getting on, and then all of a sudden, mate, bang! I think the police raided Rainbow's End. I didn't know, but my dad was up to a lot of unruly stuff that was going on there. In fact, he was doing kind of loads of scams and schemes and stuff like that, pretty illegal stuff that I had no idea about.
Yeah, yeah.
He was also growing a big cannabis plant factory out the back of the arcade. And at the time I used to go out there, I used to think, oh look, there's some plants growing out here, but it was to a big extent.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I'm kind of like 8.5 years old, and my parents are getting divorced. And then from then on, shit really kind of hit the fan, where I saw a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have. My mum and dad, there was a lot of violence that I saw. Yeah, lots of violence, lots of kind of, I don't know, man. There was times when my mum used to go down to the park, to get her stuff, and she'd come back covered in blood, and I had neighbours looking after me. Yeah. And that's when my life changed forever, mate, because I look back at it now, and all the time I was growing up, I was like, I'm quite a normal person. But I look back at it now and I think, Jesus, this must be kind of one of the reasons why things, why I feel a bit different to everybody else. Yeah. So I kind of they went through this divorce. I went from being like, I could have whatever I wanted. Mm-hmm. I used to pick up an Argus catalogue, rest in peace Argus catalogues, by the way.
Are they not using them anymore?
No, they just printed the last one. It's all digital now, so you can't even get
memories, man.
An Argus catalogue. Yeah, but I used to be able to just literally just open it and say, Dad, I want that. Yeah. And my dad would go out and buy it, and I had everything, mate. Yeah. I had everything. When my parents got divorced, I ended up losing everything. It ended up being me and my mum. My eldest brother kind of moved out of the family home. Yeah. Our house got repossessed, so me and my mum my dad ended up in jail for what he'd done. Yeah. I think it was like there was a lot of fraud going on, a lot of drug dealing, just things that a little 8-9-year-old kid didn't know nothing about. Yeah, yeah. So when that happened to me and my mum ended up walking around Bognor with black bags on our backs, homeless, and our house was repossessed. And that's where really I grew close to my mum. I'm a bit of a mummy's boy.
I feel you, man. Me too. Yeah.
I love my mum to bits. I don't think you're ever too old or too. There's some people that get really embarrassed to show their feelings and emotions towards their mum and that. Well, I was just like, I'll give you a kiss, and I love to this day. When me and my mum sit and have a drink together, she'll stand up and we'll perform like Lose Yourself together, and she's like going like this, and so me and my mum, we're kind of like best buds like that, and I'm really happy and appreciative to have that relationship with her. Sure. But my whole life just changed, mate, and I ended up, having all of this stuff, toys, bikes, everything, and then it was all gone, and we ended up moving into a small flat. just round the corner actually. I think it was like Gainsborough Road or something up there. It's just one of the, just up here and on the right.
Yeah.
And that's when my life kind of changed, mate.
How old was you then? When
I must have been, when this was all finished, I must have been about 9 or 10.
Okay.
And then obviously when I think I was starting in kind of year 5, year 6, I kind of knew that I had to move school because my dad was seeing somebody else that was like up Edward Bryant school, so I had to move school. My life just completely changed.
Yeah.
And I became very quiet. I became a very quiet young man. I was always a Larry little shit running around, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, and I went from all of that to just kind of this really quiet kid. I think I didn't really know what had happened to me.
Yeah.
It kind of all happened so fast.
Yeah.
And man, that's when my life changed forever, dude.
So what about, so you're 9, you say 9, 10?
Yeah.
All this happened.
Yeah.
Going into your teen years,
Yeah.
When you're hitting that adolescent stage, and you go into like bigger school.
Yeah.
Is it junior school?
Yeah. Secondary school.
Secondary school.
Yeah.
Well, you've got infant, primary.
Yeah. Like BRCC kind of time.
Yeah. So what were things like for you when you went up to that big school? Where all the schools kind of everybody joins from different schools, and you got a mixture of.
I enjoyed it, mate. I enjoyed it, and I began getting a kind of personality back.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got back to, I'd recovered as much as I could. I mean, from the ages of like 10 to kind of 12, 13, I was talking to psychologists and people about the way I was feeling and stuff like that. And I suppose that did help a little bit, but when I look back, it didn't really do anything, No.
Yeah.
So when I got to like secondary school, I was okay, man. I was okay, but I mean, I look back now and I think I really needed a father figure.
Yeah.
It was just me and my mum, and I was going through adolescence.
Yeah.
I started drinking cider down rock garden, started smoking solid, and my life just became, I was bunking off of school, and I was just smoking weed, drinking, and I look back now and I think if I would have had a dad that would have kind of stepped in and said, no, this is wrong. I think maybe my chosen path would have been different, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. I remember coming home and a bit of weed fell out my pocket, and at the time my mum was smoking it, and as bad as it sounds, she was like, if you're going to smoke it with anyone, smoke it with me. So we had a joint together, and but when I look back at them years, bro, I was pretty unruly. I was pretty, I needed a dad, I needed a father figure, but there wasn't anybody there. I mean, my mum had boyfriends and stuff like that, but you know what that's like. You ain't my dad. Yeah. You ain't my dad, kind of thing. So that's when it kind of not all went downhill, but I think I could have chose.
Be better.
I would have loved to. I would have loved to have actually listened in school and took in all of that information. Rather than just be down an alley. Smoking a bong.
I think you find, when you get into this kind of, when you talk about society, you talk about like the kids and the teenagers. I think one of the areas that we go wrong is naturally kids without that kind of family structure, they will seek a family structure somewhere else, and that's why kids end up getting into these large groups where they're surrounded by their peers, and all they do is vibe with each other. They have no guidance, no real knowledge, no sense of direction, and then that's when you end up going down bad addies and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And if you look at other cultures around the world, cultures where the family have a very strong cohesion, that the kids tend to grow up and do better in life.
They do. I mean? That's for sure.
And when they're left to just kind of run around.
My mum tried her best.
Yeah, of course.
But obviously, when I was going out and coming back, and I always had my mum always cared, and I always used to question. My mum would say, "Come in at 9," and I'm like, "Well, my man up the road's going in at like 12. Why am I, you're a shit mum. Why, and when I look back now, I think all she was doing was being a good mum and trying to protect me. But at the time, I was like, you're shit, fuck off, and I do regret not kind of, treating my mum that way, and it was all a little bit messed up.
Yeah. Man. No, mate, I feel you. I'm exactly the same. I look back and fucking, my parents, they did great, man. I can't really fault them. We didn't go without, and I look back now and think I was a fucking dick, man.
Yeah.
I could have been a better kid.
Yeah. Same here, bro. Same here. Just exactly the way I feel.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think that's one of the things that make me love my parents, and my mum in particular. I'm very close with my mum, like you say.
Yeah.
That's what makes me love her more, I think, is knowing that she didn't give up, and the shit I put her through in my teen years.
Yeah.
I look back and I just think, damn, you deserve a good life, the rest of your life to be fucking calm and chilled, because the arrests and the fighting and the parties and that stuff, like, your parents don't deserve to go through
No, they
shit,
don't. And I mean, I find myself now, obviously my daughter's 11 years old, and I find myself going blah, 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 and I think, oh no, my mum said that to me like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now I know why my mum said that to me.
Oh, mad, isn't it?
So you kind of, life is just a repetitive cycle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%, man, I agree. When was your first experience with mental health? When did you you probably didn't realise it at the time, but looking back, can you pinpoint a certain moment where you thought,
I basically, going up to kind of like my 20s and stuff like that, I started working for my dad's business. My dad's a really successful businessman now.
Yeah.
Back then he was just a con.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
he made something of himself, I'm big up my dad for that. But
Oh,
I remember being probably in my early 20s, and I was in a relationship with a girl that I'd met at my dad's workplace.
Yeah.
And obviously I fell in love. It wasn't my first time I fallen in love. I think I was like 16 when I had my first kind of like
little teen love.
Little teen love,
Yeah.
So I ended up in a relationship with this girl, and we were together 5 years, and I think it's just after Rubes had been born and stuff like that, and I remember we split up after being together for about 5 years, and I wasn't ready for it. And my very, very first experience with mental health, I remember we split up, and I didn't quite know how to feel. Obviously I had a broken heart.
Of course, yeah.
But as time went on, I was like, I feel really, really sad still. Why am I feeling like this? It's been 6 months, it's been a year. I shouldn't kind of be feeling sad like this anymore. And I went over to the health centre, which is my doctor's, and I remember talking about my feelings, and at the time as well.
So, was it counselling?
Yeah, it was. It was counselling, and then what really struck me as well was, I mean, I'm very blessed that we get on these days, and we're really good friends. But back in the day, also when my child was born, I went through a lot of stuff with my child's mum.
Yeah.
And obviously, when somebody's saying to you about, you can't see your kid or whatever. I mean, when I look back now, I was an absolute wreck.
Yeah.
And but I think arguing and arguing to the teeth with my baby's mum.
Yeah.
And this breakup, it caused what I would call like the first stages of depression.
Yeah.
And I just remember it first started off for me. I just wanted to cry, mate. I just wanted to cry. If I looked at somebody in the face to have a conversation, I'd just get upset.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, this isn't normal to feel like this all the time. And that was the first time I was ever given antidepressants.
And how old was you?
I must have been...
Early 20s, you say?
Yeah, probably 23.
Yeah.
23, and I was given these tablets, and you know, at the time, didn't really know much about the pharmaceutical things and the way, you know, the way our system works. So I didn't really know stuff about it back then, but I remember I was given these tablets, and I took them for ages, man, and rather than changing my mood, I just felt like a zombie. I felt like it just stripped my emotions completely. So I was taking these tablets, and they were just like, you know, I just felt numb. I was just walking around like a walker from The Walking Dead or something. You know? It was really weird, man. It was really weird. And then toppled by that, I remember I went through court to go and see my baby girl, and I was kind of successful and not successful at the same time. And that's when the anxiety started. Was I often used to go and pick her up from my mum, bless her heart, and we would argue. And when I used to get in my car and drive to pick up my daughter, I was so fearful of having that argument. That is when the anxiety started. I used to pull over in the car and puke. You know that anxiety feeling when you're just absolutely sick to your stomach with it.
Yeah, mine usually comes out the other way.
Yeah.
I usually fucking get the shits, mate. When my anxiety kicks in bad.
Me too, and the sweats.
Yeah.
You know, and your heart's racing and your heart's going. But then, mate, I didn't know what that was either. And it wasn't for a while when I went in the doctors, and I was like, I begged this doctor. I said, look, I can't look at anybody in the face. I'm shaking like a shitting dog all day long. I don't know what to do. You know, you're giving me these tablets, and within a few more sessions of going to the doctors, he said, you've got an anxiety disorder, GAD, generalised anxiety. And I was like, shit, what's going on? What's going on with my life? Like, I've gone from being this normal kid, smoking a couple of bongs and stuff like that, to not that that's, you know, normal, and you know, I'm not telling anybody out there to go and do that, but that's just my particular experience. But it was weird, man. It was weird, and that's when I kind of, that was when my life changed again. Having to rely on tablets every day to just be able to look at somebody.
Do you remember what the medication it was? The name of it?
I first started taking citalopram.
Yes, I've had them.
They were the first ones, and then they didn't work. I used to not be able to sleep on them. I used to lay awake, you know, my eyes bulging, staring at the ceiling like I'd been doing other stuff. And I was like, nah, man, I can't really live like this. So I ended up basically, they were giving me mirtazapine, which is
I've had them before.
Part sleeping tablet, part anxiety, part. But before I knew it, man, I had just tablets coming out my arsehole. Just you know, I'd look in my drawer and there's just packets and packets of these tablets, and it's not really it wasn't really what.
It doesn't seem like, you know, if aliens were to come down and we were to go, this is how we deal with our mental health. This is how we deal with our physical health. We exercise, do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But then when it comes to mental health, it's like the professionals, they don't really talk to you about how to battle your mental health. They just give you tablets, talk about it, tablets, talk about it, tablets, talk about it. You think, really, these tablets, they're not magic, they're short term, not long term. You know, and it would seem that if someone was to come down and just be like, really, that's how you tackle your problems with tablets. That seems bizarre.
It doesn't make any sense, bro. I mean, I look back now and I remember me and you having a conversation about this on the radio, but I mean, I think you've got to eat decently. That's one of the most important things. And now if I feel in a state of depression, or if I feel anxious, I'll just get my keys and go out for a walk. I'll take my dog out. You know, I mean, the lockdown, all I've done is eat. So I've put on a bit of weight and stuff like that. It's not good. The amount of takeaways I've had, Brian, the past couple of months, I've lost count. But I think if you eat well, you exercise, you try and stimulate your head with something other than just staring at your phone.
I don't think it's enough to go out and perform some kind of physical activity, but then for the rest of your life or the rest of your day, sit there endlessly scrolling. I think it's counterproductive, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're just jumping back into this kind of warped world of addiction and stuff like that. I don't think you're helping yourself. I think it needs to be like an overall balance, like a lifestyle, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. You need to completely change your lifestyle. And I mean, coming back to my music, all of these kind of broken hearts I've had, all of this shit on the medication, I've written about it, man. You can go on YouTube and just look at my stuff, and I look back, and I've got these 3 songs about this breakup of this relationship, and then I've done a song a couple of years ago called Broken, which was just I wrote it and recorded it in a day. Yeah. I was crying while I was recording it. I was but I made this song in a day, put it out there, and the response I got from people was amazing, man, about this song. Yeah. Also around Survivor, so another one about battling mental health. So yeah, this kind of that was my way of dealing with it. But now, I don't know, man, I'm a lot more, because I'm a lot more of a hands-on dad. Yeah. I've got Ruby quite a lot. I mean, the time slips away, and you don't have enough kind of time to sit and write a song anymore, or do something like that. So yeah, recently things have been a little bit tougher, but you just got to roll. Yeah,
for sure, man. I feel ya. So we touched up on fucking meds and therapies, didn't we? Yeah. When you battled with your mental health, did you tell anyone about it? In the beginning, obviously more recent years, you've obviously been more kind of vocal, and
no, I didn't.
When you first kind of...
I didn't, man, because I remember being like, when did I say? I was about 23 when all of this started. Not many people knew mental health existed. I mean, I certainly didn't. Well, I mean, I knew, but it wasn't kind of like it is now.
Widely spoken about.
You know, I think a lot of people kind of use, I'm depressed. I'll never ever judge anybody, but I think it's so easy to use that tagline these days, and I think there are a minority of people out there that make genuine sufferers like me and you. You know, I remember having conversations with my dad, because he's very like old school. And a lot of people I know are. Yeah. And you know, you're like, I feel like this, and they're like, I've had people say to me, depression doesn't exist, anxiety doesn't exist. You know, if you were out there working and had a full-time job, you wouldn't feel like this anymore.
Oh, the ignorance.
Yeah. And that's coming from, you know, people I care about and stuff like that. And I've been ridiculed for it online before, and I've had people call me a pussy and stuff like that. And I mean, you just deal with it the way you do. But no, I didn't tell anybody for a long time, man. And then all of a sudden, this huge wave of mental health awareness. I don't know whether to call it awareness or what, but this thing come through. Yeah. And then you kind of like, shit, I'm not alone. Millions of other people are feeling like this, but they're just not talking about it.
Man, there are so many people out there not talking about it. It wasn't until like I got into doing all of the charity stuff and the groups and the stuff through what was Guardian Angel. Yeah. It wasn't until like, you know, I started doing all that I realised how many people out there actually suffer. It's insane, mate. Even people that you don't even think have these problems, suddenly like you're just finding out that like most of the people in your town have some kind of mental health.
I remember reading your page when you would put stuff up, and the comments and people were flooding you with I'm depressed, help me. And a similar sort of thing happened to me when I released my couple of songs about mental health.
Yeah, so many people.
I've got people in my inbox like, help me, and obviously I'm not a professional, and I used to try and guide them to the right places and that. And so, but I didn't tell anybody about it for a long time. The only one person that really understood was, again, my mum. You know, I would cry in her arms. I would drive from my flat to her flat at 3 a.m. and just go. I'd go and sleep next to my mum, and just I'd have panic attacks, and I'd feel so anxious and just mentally destroyed. And the only woman that was there was my mum, and so I'm thankful for that. So she was the one person that I really opened up to about it,
Mate, do you know what? I've never really opened up to my mum about my mental health. I mean, she's seen all the stuff that I posted on my page, and she knows of all the shit I've been through, all my battles. But it wasn't until like a couple of weeks ago I had a bad moment, and it was brought on by like, you know, personal life issues. It wasn't like my mental health problems don't come from like, I wasn't born with them.
No.
Like some people can be born with these battles. Mine was brought on just through life experience and physical, mental abuse through like drugs and all that sort of stuff. It wasn't until recently that I was just like I was just bombarding my mum with all of these messages like, I can't cope, I can't deal with this, I don't want to be here anymore. Loads of other stuff, and it just makes you think like, fucking hell, mate. Imagine being the parent and having your kid come to you saying that. You know, and it made me think like she must have been through hell seeing her kid go through this for 10 plus years.
You know, parents worry. I mean, I worry about my little lady now, and she's only 11, man. She's only got to have a runny nose. I'm like, you're all right. You know, I'm a really overprotective dad, obviously, because she's a female as well. You know, and she's just going through so many changes at the moment, and I'm you know, really overprotective of her. But the one thing that that my mum could relate to is because she lost a son, she's had PTSD. You know, my mum has been through the mill and back. So when I was discussing these problems with her, luckily enough, you know, she's been through it. She's living it. She's never gotten over the loss of my brother. And I mean, who could? There's people like my dad, my brother. They've all become rich and successful, and they've basically forgotten about that life. And kind of left my mum behind. And it's just kind of me and my mum dealing with it, you know. My dad says to me, oh, you know, go and get a full-time job, go and work at McDonald's, go and do this, and all your problems will be fixed. And I'm like, hold on a minute, man, I'm looking after the woman that you left in the lurch all them years ago, do you know what I mean? Because me and my mum look after each other's heads. So yeah, my mum is really the only person that I opened up. I mean, probably my partner that I'm not with anymore, that we got back together and split up a couple of times. We used to have some pretty deep chats about it, and she really did understand me. Like, I'd meet up with her and she would just look at me and say, your anxiety's playing up with you today, innit? And I'd be like,
she just knows.
Yeah, how do you know? Yeah, and I was the same with her, and bless her, just she was one of the people that I opened up to about it as well. So
I can feel you, man. My partner, exactly the same. She knows when I'm off. I can't hide it. Do you know what I mean?
No.
She just knows like that. And I'm just like, oh, great. She's gonna start questioning me now. And I'm just like, fuck.
It's just like a look, isn't it? It's just like a look, and I think, I don't know, man. I think when I'm nervous and anxious, I think it gives off. You know, I'm quite good at judging people's character and like the aura, and you know, I love kind of that side. So when somebody feels like that as well, I'm pretty good at kind of reading them, you know, and how they feel. So
mums, mate. Big up to the mums.
Big up to the mums.
I fucking love mums, man. Well, not all mums. Just my mum. I love just my mum.
I love that,
man. What's that telling me about there? 20 minutes on there. Shut up. We spoke about coping techniques, didn't we? You said your music.
Yes.
You like to make music.
I love to make music, mate.
I'll link some of your videos.
Yeah,
on
please.
The post as well.
Yeah, Survivor, Broken. You have to.
You send them to me and I'll put them in. Yeah.
I did do a bout of CBT, like when I first got into it with Time to Talk.
Done it myself, yeah.
And
I thought it was quite enlightening.
It was.
For me, it was like, wow, I never really kind of, you know.
No, and I'll tell you what, when I look back now, I had a really good therapist. Her name was Donna, and I was suffering with panic attacks at the time, and I didn't know she was a registered nurse as well.
Yeah.
And she basically made me have a panic attack, and we recorded it on her phone, right? And she made me, like, my breathing, she worked up my breathing, and then she, like, said a couple of things to me, and I had a panic attack. And from that moment, mate, she basically gave me the skills to kind of come out of that mode.
Yeah.
And I look back at it now and I think, you know, and it gave me the tools to deal with the depression side of things, not the anxiety. When I went in there, they were like, right, what do you want to focus on, depression or anxiety? And I was like, both, please. And they were like, no, you can't do that. You know, you can just choose one. So I did the depression, and I walked out with the tools to be able to change my mood a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know, it was enlightening, and I learned about the fight or flight, and I learned about the actual physical, you know, what's happening to your body when you feel like this. And it is quite like, you know,
it's deep. A lot of stuff happens when you experience anxiety. You know, like your body just goes into this.
Yeah, man.
Kind of.
What I thought was amazing was, you know, when you have a panic attack, or when you get really anxious or really depressed, your stomach shuts down, everything, all of you just shuts down, and your body's just you know,
it's nuts, mate.
Concentrating on this mode you're in, and I found that fascinating.
You start like excreting sweat, your heart rate speeds up, your stomach turns. It's like your digestive system goes to shit.
Your digestive system turns off. Good luck at eating, mate. When you feel depressed or anxious. But yeah, man, so I had that. That was the only kind of treatment from any doctors or whatever I had. I ended up at the Beedale Centre, which is a place you'll probably have. But man, you know, I went there a couple of times, and I've begged them. I mean, at the moment, I take pregabalin for anxiety, and I take escitalopram. And escitalopram are a bit like citalopram, but they've got a little bit of something in there for anxiety. So that's what's holding my shit together at the moment. And I've kind of begged them for reviews, and you know, can I come and talk to you? No, you know, and especially with this COVID shit. Good luck at trying to get anything at this time at the moment.
I feel like the things now, I mean, like before this whole COVID-19 pandemic, it was hard to get fucking help, mental health support. It was hard.
It was,
And now it's even fucking harder. Like, how could it be any harder?
Where'd you turn? Who'd you turn to?
Exactly, and I think like when it comes to like therapy, counselling, medication and all that sort of stuff, like the things that they do for you, let's not talk about medication, talk about like therapy. The stuff that they kind of teach you and the things that they go through in them sessions, they only kind of really are of benefit for a short period of time whilst you're having that therapy, and then maybe a short period after where you're kind of it's there, and then it will fade away. And if you go back to your old lifestyle, that shit becomes irrelevant, and it's literally pointless, because you just fall back into old habits, old thinking patterns, that sort of stuff. It needs to be for people that battle with mental health from the moment they are diagnosed. Like some people just, you know, diagnose things a bit, talk about it forever, but it needs to be a lifestyle change from that moment. From the moment they say, you know, this is what we're telling you, you know, you have wrong with you and whatever. Now you need to change your life. Not just have a bit of therapy for fucking 6-12 weeks and take this medication and suddenly, you're fixed. Go back to eating McDonald's, go back to drinking, smoking. No, you need to change your entire lifestyle for you to completely change and like rewire your mindset.
You do, my man, and I think you need help for a lot longer than a few weeks. I remember going into the first session and they were like, right, you know, we're going to be doing like 12, 13 of these. And then by the last one, I was like, I actually said, can I come back next week? And they were like, no. As much as I'd love to, I'm not physically allowed to see you again. I've got to discharge you. And I'm like, I'm still fucked. Please help me.
I had that as well.
Please help me.
I remember her saying it's, you know, you've got the last session over, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, really? It's like I could do with seeing you
for another 10 years.
Do you know what I mean? And it's that kind of leaves you feeling, fuck, where do I go from here? You've got no guidance after that. Chances are you're fucked unless you're going to go venture off into what I've tried in recent months is a more spiritual mindset. It's hard to maintain that.
I can imagine.
When you battle with mental health, you know, because a lot of people can get into this kind of spiritualism and meditation and stuff. If you're not battling with mental health, it's just easier.
You know? I bet it's easier said than done. One thing that I think is what should happen as well is, I think like you know, a bit like how long we got? We got
14 minutes.
We got people like social services, and you know, when I'm not talking from my experience here. I've not had social services involved with me and my child, but I know people that have. One thing that I think that they do quite well is, you know, they ring you up every week on a certain day and time. How are you doing? What are you doing? They're sending you paperwork in the post of things that you could be doing and changing with your kid or whatever, and ways to parent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more of a system like that for people with mental health.
Yeah.
Somebody ringing you, you know, once a week, maybe an appointment once a month to check, are you still doing this correctly? Are you still eating like this? Are you still, how's your life?
Yeah. Well, that sort of thing needs to come through, like, there needs to be like a something that comes from your GP. So like you've got a tree, your GP sits at the top, and from your GP you get people that can help you with your diet and nutrition, sports and physical activity, and anything that kind of can contribute to a positive physical and mental health. But you don't really get that. It's kind of, you go to your GP, I don't really remember ever talking about my diet or lifestyle. Maybe I told them about my history. I'm abused with drugs, blah, 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 blah. And they kind of take this information, and then they go, right, and then it's just medication, or a bit of therapy, a bit of counselling.
I'll tell you what changed for me, dude, was I noticed, and my mum told me a similar kind of thing as well, is if you go into your doctors and say, look, I'm struggling with mental health, you know, I'm really bad. You know, if when they ask you that critical question, you know, have you smoked weed, have you done any drugs, and you say yes, I think from that moment on, they, you know, you're just labelled, and they change the way they talk to you. All of a sudden, every single problem in your life is down to smoking a bit of weed, or you feel like this because you've done this and whatever. And I think that's bullshit, man. I think you shouldn't be kind of judged in that manner. When you go and tell your GP something like that. And it happened to me. I remember, you know, being treated one way one minute. I mean, I suffer with bad ankle and stuff like that. I got hit by a car some years ago. I remember before I went to my GP, I was getting painkillers every month, you know, because sometimes in the winter it gets pretty difficult to walk on my ankle and stuff. And like the second I walked in there and said I had mental health problems, and we spoke about excuse me.
That's right.
Spoke about like you know, cannabis and stuff like that. All of a sudden, they stopped giving me my painkillers. They were like, "Oh well, you know, if you've got an addictive personality, then you know you're not going to do this and do that." And it was from that moment in, man, I felt like I was treated differently. Which is weird.
Happens a lot, mate. That's very common. I've seen a lot of people talk about stuff like that. You know, they've been treated a certain way. And they believe it's because of X, Y, and Z. I think sometimes, and it's the same with kind of like a lot of other areas or industries, or even if you go for a job interview, you'll be judged based on characteristics or something, I don't know,
something
history or something.
And it shouldn't be like that, man. It shouldn't be like that.
But I mean, it's just it's another area of society that needs addressing. Is the stigma, obviously, and how people are treated once, you know, it's known that you have mental health problems. You're less of a person if you suffer with mental health, you know. I
think the government, rather than plummeting, you know, billions of pounds into some of the things they are at the moment, I think mental health is a, you know, especially for, you know, people that have come back from the war and you know, just the whole mental health sector, they need to plummet a few million quid into.
Well, they've been taking money away, haven't they? That's what they've been doing in recent years. They've been taking things away from it, and you think like, it doesn't make sense. You think about the government and what they should be doing, because they do a lot of what they shouldn't be doing. But one of the main priorities should be to take care of the citizens' mental health, because if this ain't fucking working right, then you can't fucking do anything.
No, you can't.
So, you know,
they don't realise that.
No, it's almost as if they just oh, literally, do you know what I mean?
Literally, take the bloody head off, mate.
They do. But literally, like, we could get into another conversation another time about that. There's so much to discuss, but obviously the main point of this was just for people to hear about your story and kind of, you know, your battle with mental health. Obviously, we can go off and talk about every aspect of mental health and everything in between at another time.
Family tree of it, isn't it?
Exactly.
Branch to branch.
Quickly before we finish, any recent experiences say with regards to the lockdown? Did you know?
Yeah.
Say this year.
Yeah. The lockdown. I think the lockdown was partly responsible for the breakup of my relationship.
For real.
Because we couldn't see each other.
Yeah.
And when we could see each other, it was very short-lived.
Yeah.
And obviously I did stick to these lockdown rules for a while.
Yeah.
Until I
didn't make sense.
Started thinking, oh, hold on a minute, and then I did start going. But yeah, a lot's changed for me over the past couple of months. My relationship's finished. That's set my depression off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And my anxiety, and I know where she works and things like that. The minute I'm kind of near anywhere like that, I kind of just freak out. And there's parts of me that wants to run away, and then there's parts of me that wants to just run straight up to her and say, look, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, lockdown did kind of mess me up a little bit. I mean, look, I've been wearing a mask and hiding inside for years. Yeah. So for me, staying in my flat wasn't really the big thing. I think it was. I think it was more the scare tactics from the government. If you go outside and stand next to somebody, you're going to get this disease. And obviously, with my mum having PTSD and me being my mum's carer, my mum was just sitting watching the news every day.
Oh, shit.
And they were like, millions of people are dead, this is going on, that's going on, and they're showing all these scenes with hospitals where they're full up to the brim with people walking out in body bags. And it scared the shit out of my mum. And there's me battling with my fucking mental health, and I had to kind of say to my mum, look, you're gonna be alright, we've got to look, turn the telly off, come out for a walk with me and the dog, get away from, the media and stuff like that. And so I was I've been looking after me and my mum's mental health through lockdown, and it's been bloody difficult, man. I mean, all of this, do you remember in the beginning in the supermarkets with the people, the toilet roll and the pasta and the
hysteria.
I think just taking away somebody's freedom is a pretty big thing to do
deal, man.
To somebody.
We've seen it. Mental health throughout this lockdown this year. I think this year is going to be an historical moment for the world of mental health. I think there's going to be a lot of changes drawing towards the end of the year, and the statistics that we get next year for this year will probably be quite staggering. That's providing they don't fucking tamper with them.
I feel sorry for my kid as well. They've not had to deal with being told, you can't go out.
It will still have an impact though, I think, with the schools, and this just the idea that there's this virus out there killing people. I think it can definitely have a negative impact on children. Make them more fearful, make them more kind of anxious about germs and stuff like that, which I think is good. My kid, Tyler, my eldest, he suddenly now has this fear of germs. I'm just like, dude, fucking germs are everywhere, mate. Germs are on your hands and your face right now. You know what I mean? It's just like, germs are fine. Do you know what I mean? Just use common sense. If you touch dog shit or shit, wash your hands.
Do you know there's probably more bacteria on your door handles and that than there's on your bloody toilet seat? So but how do you explain that to a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It's hard. But we're nearing, we've got about 5 minutes, but it's been a fucking pleasure, man, and I feel like we could talk more. I feel like there's just so much that we kind of didn't touch up on, but like I said, this was just about you, basically, and your fucking story. So
do you know what I want to say, my man? Thank you for giving me the privilege of doing this, because this story, I spoke a lot about my mum, my dad, my childhood. I've never ever spoken on camera about it before, and I feel pretty comfortable with it. I've told this story to partners, close people, close friends, which I don't, I've got a handful of friends and I keep my circle small.
Of course.
But to be able to open up and say it on camera is good to...
Yeah, mate, I hope to do more, this is the first one, and I hope that this will be the first of many. Do you know what I mean?
If you need a co-host in the future, Or if you're ill and you can't
Yeah.
make it.
I'll get you to come round here. I'll be in bed and you can just set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
But,
it's not COVID-19 that you struck down with.
yeah. Well, fucking whatever. But yeah, we should definitely do more talks. This has gone on nearly 50 minutes. It's a long one. It's like a fucking documentary. Do you know
I know.
how many people to watch?
It's been a pleasure. Do you know, and if you are watching this and if you're experiencing any of the problems that me and Joey are talking about, please reach out. Please speak to somebody, whether it be your GP, your family. Just sometimes I feel more comfortable talking to somebody I don't even know about problems than I do. So if you don't want to talk to your mum or your dad or somebody, you know, a close friend or whatever.
Whatever, just fucking speak out.
Speak out, man. Hashtag speak out.
Yeah.
Mental health matters, because it does.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah.
But no, it's been a pleasure, man.
I appreciate it.
This sofa's pretty comfy, so.
Drives me insane, mate. It sinks down.
Peace, love.
Anyway, peace,
strength.
love. Speak out.
See you later, guys.